Madeline Klein.
Hey,
What's that say behind you?
butternut squash.
How often do you update your baby growth chart? No, sorry,
Well,
your baby growth in the context of vegetable chart.
every Tuesday I enter a new week. So this is actually tomorrow's. This is 33 weeks. I'm 33 weeks tomorrow,
Okay.
but it's because this week the baby was the size of a bunch of celery. And not only is that just lame, but you might not know this about me. There is nothing in this world that I hate more than celery.
I didn't know that about you, and I never would have expected it. Is it the way the
I
little
hate it so
strings get up
much.
in your teeth?
Maybe the
It's if
taste, the texture,
yeah.
everything about it is horrific. The smell,
Ugh.
I've just yeah.
When you were a kid, did your parents put like the peanut butter in it and then the raisins, and they call it frogs on a log? I
My
think.
mother tried to dress it up with cheese whiz.
Oh, no wonder you hate it.
I love cheese whiz.
Yeah, but not with celery. That's like my kid. The other day I caught
Oof.
my youngest son dipping carrots in his yogurt.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
weird one. But yeah,
um,
no. And everyone's like, "Oh, it tastes like nothing." I'm like, "It does not taste like nothing."
no, I agree. If it tastes like nothing, then why do people eat it? That
Exactly.
was always my argument with my mom. I'd be like, I don't want onions in my whatever, and she'd be like, you can't even taste it. And I'm like, and why you got to put them in?
Exactly. In everything. And then
Mhm.
why is it, as my husband would refer to onions and celery, as a staple? And I'm like, no,
Hmm.
take those out.
Pain and misery are also a staple in humanity, hun. You could
That's
say.
exactly.
Hmm. Do you think we should have more of that? Butternut squash is actually timely though, because we're now just almost exactly 1 week out from Halloween, and
Mhm.
butternut squash is pumpkin-esque.
Oh, it's kind of festive. Yeah, I
It's,
never
it's
even thought of that.
butternut squash is orange and it's like melon, right? Or is it the white
Yeah,
one? Okay, well there you
it's
go.
it's definitely the orange one.
So the
I never
baby's
even thought of that.
dressed up for Halloween. There you go.
I guess, yeah.
Well, we got a lot to get into. We got to talk about episode 5 of American Horror Story, season 12, Delicate. This episode is called Preach.
Oh,
Not EACH, EECH, which is short for
preacher,
must be.
Miss Preacher,
We're
Ms.
gonna
Preacher, whoever she is.
we're gonna learn a lot about her and everyone in this story. We've over the last 4 episodes of discussions that we've had, we've been asking for clarification on some of these relationships, some of these backstories, and some movement with the plot. I think episode 5 delivered. I think things are. This gave the show like a little bit of a push, like, all right, get on with it. And I think things are
Totally.
cooking now.
We get like quite a few answers, but then it opens more doors too.
But that's how good TV
So
should work and how good storytelling should work. This, I don't know a lot about the history of this production, like how this show came together, but we're kind of viewing episode 5 as a mid-season finale because they're going to go on break after this. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case because I've read that this season had been affected by the writers and like actors strike. So I
that's what I
wonder,
just read.
yeah, so I think this episode, I don't know if it was intended to be like a mid-season finale. I think this is just the way it worked out because in watching this episode, the reason I bring this up, in watching this episode, I didn't feel like it was building up to this big cliffhanger. Although it kind of
No,
happened, but it didn't have the feel of a mid-season finale.
not at all. And it was the shortest episode yet. It was 37 minutes.
Really? Well, they jammed a
Yeah,
lot in 37 minutes. I'm looking at my notes for this episode and it's like so much has happened.
totally. I've got my notes are long, but I have kindergartner writing, so that could also be why.
I do it do you do your notes while you're watching?
The second time, I watch it once, just like super all in, and then I'll watch it again and
Okay.
take notes.
Well, my poor wife watches it with me, and I hit pause like every like 35 seconds as I update my notes with like
See, that's
what's
why I
happening.
watch it twice, so I can
Okay,
pause it.
that's yeah. Okay, I should start doing that.
Oh
Um,
yeah, the only way.
especially with this episode because I think uh, a lot has happened in the season so far. There's a lot of characters, a lot of little subtle like tips of the hat to different things that may become larger story elements. But I found like episode 5, although only being 37 minutes, They jammed so much in there. And I think this will be an episode that when this season is done, you can go back to episode 5 and really see them setting up what they're going to deliver on at the end. I hope that's the vibe I'm getting.
Totally. Well, and I'm just, I hope that like come February, part 2 is released
Mhm.
because I can't wait that long.
Yeah, I know. But
They said 2024, but that's 12 months. That's a long time.
mhm. Yeah, it
So,
is. It's kind of sucks for them that they had to do this, but
mhm.
I guess the decision would be, do we just hold it until we get the rest done and, release it then, which would kind of suck to keep it in the can that long.
Oh,
Um,
some is better than none.
yeah. And I guess what will end up happening for a lot of people, and I think this is probably what will happen to me, is come February or March or whenever it is that the new episodes come out, I'll probably go back and watch the first 5 again and
Oh,
then
for
go into the
sure.
6th. Yeah.
That's what I do too. It's
Um,
just so good.
yeah. Well, let's get into it here. Let's start with episode 5, Preach, the cold open. Uh, it starts off a lot like episode 4, where the cold open is a woman who we don't know giving birth. If you recall in episode 4, we were way back in time in, like, I think it was like the 1800s or something.
1500s,
1500s.
1555.
I
Yeah.
think that is like the dark ages, I think you can say.
Oh yeah.
This time, no, we're in the 1980s, 1987. We're in Manhattan. There's a woman giving birth, and it is very eerie and creepy. But this one is much different than what we saw before, both because of the time that it's happening. But Dr. Hill, a younger Dr. Hill, is in the room, and he's serving as the delivery doctor, and he's an altogether different character in terms of his personality. He's cold, abusive. I would say abusive. Like, he just comes across as like the worst doctor ever.
Yes. The
Uh,
words I put were cold and cruel.
I had very cold and prick.
Those are good. Those are good too. But
Um,
like I just the whole medical scene is so frigid.
yeah,
Like there it's yeah,
it
it's
looks
just
more
so
like
so odd.
underneath a funeral home, there'd be like that room where they do like embalming and stuff, and there's just this
Yeah.
one creepy guy there at night, like cutting up the bodies and like doing its thing. It looked more like that than it was a delivery room. And Dr. Hill, he just came across as agitated and mean and just rotten. And as he's, just being like, you're gonna have to push harder than that. Like, that was one.
And that's just like that's my worst nightmare is just like not only do I get like a forced birth vibe from this,
Mhm.
he's like the least comforting person ever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the environment is also not comforting.
Yeah, and he's kind of almost being like sort of condescending and certainly not supportive to her. It was a troubling scene to see. I'll just tell you one little story. Is one thing that blew me away about child rearing and the whole like having a baby thing was just that how amazing and supportive like nurses are and nurses
Hmm.
can be. I had like, of course, I know people who are nurses, but I've never seen like their work in action because fortunately I'd never been in like the kind of situation where I'm getting like crazy surgery or something until I had my first kid. And it was like so traumatic. My wife was giving birth. I felt completely helpless because what could I do to support her other than just try not to get in the way and try not to be annoying to her as this is all happening. But the nurse that was there, it went on for hours, and she was like a cheerleader to the max. And by the end of it, I felt like I just wanted to like hug her and cry and be like, I could never like thank you enough. And I think I probably did do that. But anyway,
Aw.
this experience in Manhattan was altogether different. And instead of Dr. Hill calling in someone supportive like another nurse or maybe the new mother's, I don't know, friend or family into the room, he waves in the crow-headed women in the middle of the delivery. So immediately we're like, okay, we're cooking now.
Well, and it's because there were other nurses around, and then he calls for extra help and enter the crow. What do we call them?
I've been calling them
The crow
crow-headed
bunny
women, the crow
nurses.
bunny women. They come in. It's a very bloody, violent birth. Like, there's blood everywhere. It certainly doesn't look clean.
It doesn't
And,
look sterile in the least. No.
and The baby is born. When the baby comes out of the mother, they pass it to one of the nurses who kind of puts her back to the camera and sort of walks off. I don't think we
Mhm.
get much of a sign of what that's all about. I think
You
the
don't see it.
you don't see it,
You hear it, but
mhm.
you don't see the
But the
baby.
scene is close enough to what we saw in episode 4, where we actually saw a baby with like talons and stuff, that I'm pretty sure what came out of this woman is some kind of a monster that we just don't get to see.
Oh yeah. Well, and right before she starts to give birth, or Dr. Hill is like making her give birth, he asks her if she's ready or something like that, and she kind of stumbles on her words, and he says, "You made an agreement that cannot be reneged."
Mm.
And I was like, that's an odd way to put things.
Yeah.
So,
You made
yeah.
an agreement with your husband that night 9 months ago.
Is that what he meant? Who knows?
It
Because
cannot be
that's it.
reneged.
That cannot
Um,
be reneged.
yeah, I don't think that's what he meant. Yeah, I think we know exactly what's going on there. We don't need to talk that out. The cold open ends at this point, and we're brought back to present day 2023 in the Hamptons. We have Dex and his mom, Victoria, walking on the beach, and Victoria is trying to talk Dex into testifying against Dex's father, her ex-husband. We heard this whole talk of a lawsuit brought up in episode 4. She is still pushing. Dex does not seem very interested in testifying for her against her father, against his father.
Well, because he's like, I didn't see anything. And she's like, okay, then you can just be like a character witness. And he's pretty apprehensive
Yeah, he's like, come
because
on
he
now.
thinks this whole thing is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it certainly is ridiculous. He wants nothing to do with it. Eventually, Dex leaves his mom there on the beach after kind of turning down her request to be involved in her lawsuit. As Dex is walking away, his mother says, "You're going to regret not believing me." That's kind of her final words on that scene. I don't know what that means. There's some discussion. There's discussion about between you and I about Dex being involved in whatever is happening with Dr. Hill and his ex-wife and Siobhan and the crow-headed bunny people. If Dex is in that world, he got in that world somehow. So could it be his father? And could the mother actually turn out to be, like, at this point I hate Victoria, but maybe she's going to turn out to be one of the saviors of this story.
Well, right. Like there has to be some sort of like satanic connection. This
Mm-hmm.
isn't all just a coincidence.
And it's been going on since the 1500s based on the cold open of episode 4. So it's
Right.
this isn't some like a new situation that's starting.
That's right. Yeah. And yeah, just the whole like his mom is suing his dad because she believes that she was subject to what like satanic rituals
Mm-hmm.
or some whatever it was.
Satanic
So
ritual abuse, I think, is what
that's
she
right.
brought
That's
up.
what it's called.
So at the end of that scene with Victoria mouthing, "You're going to regret not believing me," we get the intro. I always enjoy the intro, although the theme song I think is underwhelming. It's just like diggy, diggy. It's
Oh, I
very.
love the theme song.
It does the trick in terms of the aesthetic and whatever, but I feel like it's so understated. There's
Yeah.
almost no song there.
I've loved it since season 1. It stayed the same. And I think it's fabulous. I don't know why.
It works. It kind of has like a bit of an. It sounds like something like Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails would do or something. Maybe like
Maybe that's why I love it.
Yeah, I do dig the intro. So we get into the show with Anna walking into Siobhan's office. As she's walking in, who does she encounter but Babette, who is the young actress that she met on the runway to the Gotham Awards. Babette was the one who was also nominated in the same category as Anna and was like, "Oh, like you're so much older than me. I'm so proud to be nominated with like a veteran like you." It turns out that, as we learn here, Babette, that actress, also has some kind of a relationship with Siobhan. Siobhan, as a manager or whatever, seems to be representing her, and it seems like they're also in the running in the same category for a Golden Globe, which I think leads Anna to feel maybe there's like a bit of a betrayal, or a conflict of interest. And that thought and feeling occupies this scene. What happens? I'll let you talk about your favorite actress.
Well, and up until this scene, I thought that Babette was like fairly normal and like harmless and nice.
Mm-hmm.
But then when this scene comes, she's super weird about everything.
Mm-hmm.
She says, you know, how exhausting award season is, and she's like, and I'm 21. I can imagine how you feel. And like I've said this before, Anna's not that old. She's
Yeah,
only like mid 30s, but I
if
guess that's
that.
ancient to a 21-year-old.
I would have guessed she
Um,
was like, yeah, I would have guessed early 30s. She looks to me like she's 32, 33.
yeah, she was born in on one of her ultrasounds. You could see her birthday, and she was born in 1988.
Okay.
So like that's the year my husband was born. He's not that old.
So that would
So
make her like
34, 35.
yeah, 34. I was born in 81. I'm 42. So,
And you know, like a fine wine. You're not that old either.
thank you.
um,
Um but I
but
would
yeah,
but at my age, I can't imagine how exhausting awards season would be. I couldn't do it. I couldn't make a Golden
yeah.
Globe run.
I don't know. I think I could just because I know there's a lot of money involved.
Hmm.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I've never been in that position. I probably never will be. I don't know what goes into
Come on. Don't
it.
count yourself out.
Okay, I'll put Golden Globes on the bucket list.
Okay. Um yeah. So anyway,
So
Babette
anyway,
is condescending and has a
and just like
different.
weird.
Yeah, she seems a bit. It seems a bit more intentional of a insult than when we saw her on the runway for the Gotham Awards, which seemed more accidental. This seemed more intentional to me.
Totally. So at that point, Anna is, like you said, she's kind of like taken aback. She had no idea Siobhan was representing Babette.
Mm-hmm.
She goes into Siobhan's office and asks her, like, why was Babette here and why are you representing her? And Siobhan is a little bit cold.
Oh yeah.
Like she's like, I don't have, what is it? A non-compete clause,
Uh huh.
and like don't talk so disrespectfully about another client. And yeah, she just kind of like brushes Anna off, um continues like with her phone call, keeps won't even look at her, is typing on the computer. Yeah, it's just it's a different Siobhan
Mm-hmm.
than what we've been used to.
Yeah. Up until now, Siobhan and Anna, the business seemed secondary to the friendship in a lot of
Right.
ways. This was
Yes.
very much like immediately Siobhan is defending herself by like citing parts of their contract, like I don't have a
Yeah.
non-complete clause. That's not something friends would say. It's a very different feel, and it's clear that Siobhan isn't even going there with Anna. We're not discussing her. That's it is what it is, and that's what's happening, but we need to look after you. So here's some more of that weird vitamin B12 blood shot stuff that made you puke on stage not that long ago.
Right. And
And
then, well, and then Anna asks her, are you punishing me for getting pregnant? And
mm,
Siobhan said, paranoid much? And
mm,
just like totally disregards her feelings, I guess.
yeah.
But
At this point in the storyline, though, if Siobhan gives me that vitamin B12, there's no way I'm gonna take that. I say, like, I've been through so much, and I've been through stuff with this medicine anyway. Why would I take it from you? I want to talk to like at least a doctor before I take anything. Why would you say, oh, more of it?
gone are the days I would take anything out of an unmarked vial.
Especially for and
Like,
and in this
no.
and in this post-COVID world, when you talk to a friend or acquaintance or somebody and they have like this kind of health and medical advice, I'm so like different now than I was 3 years ago. Where I'm now like I don't want to hear any of your craziness about anything. I don't like unless it's directly from my doctor that I've had. No way I'm getting into your nonsense. That's what.
Unsolicited advice of any kind infuriates me. And more so, like as soon as I found out I was pregnant,
Uh oh.
I started getting a ton of unsolicited advice.
Uh
And
oh.
I
Yeah.
was, and it's usually negative toned.
Mhm.
And I was like, stop. Like,
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't ask.
some people love to talk about their experiences with pregnancy and having kids and all this stuff. So you need to be able to balance that with the people who are like just fools who want to prop themselves up, you know?
I guess. Yeah.
Anyway, um, Siobhan gives Anna some of the B12. Anna walks off with it. And as she leaves the office, I think we're gonna learn what the episode title Preach is all about, because we see Miss Preacher standing there holding a bag. It's a black leather bag with the word Preach, Preech, on the bag. Anna just looks at her, and the word Preach, immediately to me, I knew what was going on because it looks like a fashion kind of bag. Like it could have said Gucci, but it says Preach. As Anna's watching her, and Miss Preacher holding the bags on the other side of the street, a bus goes by. So when the bus is in between them, Anna can't see Miss Preacher. The bus passes, and Miss Preacher and her cool, fashionable bag are gone.
Well, and it's obvious Anna like starts to approach her. I think she obviously wants to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
But then the bus almost takes her out, and then poof, she's gone.
And then she's gone, yeah. But they got to talk. I've been waiting for them to sit down, but it doesn't happen in this scene. Instead, Anna heads back home, home as in Talia's house. When she enters I can't think of his name, the guard. Kamal's there. He wants an autograph for his wife from Anna. Odd. What's the story with his autograph?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem super professional.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like someone that works for E asking for an autograph, because it's like you know, this is just kind of your job. But mm-hmm. Anna said, "I didn't know you were married." And he was like, "Yeah, I am."
Maybe there was nothing to that, because maybe this is ultimately just something to get Anna into the kitchen, because Anna needs to get a pen to give him an autograph. She walks into the kitchen, and weird stuff happens in this kitchen always when Anna's alone. When she gets in there, she hears, the scratching and whispering coming from the fridge, like it did in episode 4. Anna opens the fridge, and she sees what to me is a pretty nice display in that fridge. It is,
I wouldn't complain,
40 cartons of ice cream, I guess, perfectly meticulously lined up. There's nothing in that fridge except ice cream. And we saw in episode 4, we saw her sit down and binge eat ice cream and pickles. So this is good news, I think, or should be good news.
I'd be ecstatic, but it is kind of weird.
It is weird. She goes from the fridge into the drawer. I don't know if she's going there looking for a pen or if she's getting a spoon to go at that ice cream with. When she opens the door, she sees the photo that she sees every time she goes in this drawer. It's the photo of Dex and his ex. Except this time she picks it up and looks at it, and it's kind of this weird effect. Is what you see is in the background of the photo, the nurse from episode 3, played by Cara Delevingne. I don't know if we know this nurse's name.
Nurse Ivy?
Nurse Ivy, that was involved in the miscarriage. She fades into the picture and then fades out of the picture. She just kind of like appears for a moment in the background. And this, I don't know what the point of that is, if it's some kind of supernatural thing that's happening. But
well, remember last time she looked at the photo, Dex's ex, her hair changed color, so Sonia. She looked more like Sonia.
Mm-hmm.
So is it really happening, or is it all in her head?
And she keeps putting the picture back. This picture's important, Anna. Put it in your pocket and let's see what happens with that. It just seems like there's always something going on around this picture. The picture is haunted. So that ends that scene after seeing Nurse Ivy fade in and out. So next, we're going to catch up with Dex's mom, Victoria. She's leaving her lawyer's office. And after, I guess, filing her lawsuit or working with her lawyer, it seems like she has kind of a big deal lawyer. She's leaving the lawyer's office after this discussion, and on her way probably to her car, walking through a city, she turns down kind of a darker alley, oddly enough. And as she's walking, you hear just this eerie laughter kind of echoing down the brick buildings that, that make this alleyway. And we don't, it seems like she's alone, but then all of a sudden, who approaches but a group of the crow-headed bunny nurse people, goat herders.
4 of them this time.
Yes. They are holding goats in this, right?
There were goats in the scene for sure.
Okay.
She hears the laughter, and then a dog starts barking at her, and then the goats appear, and then the
Yeah. And
the
then
crow bunnies appear.
yeah, and then she takes and then her fight or flight response kicks in, and she chooses flight. She takes the hell off out of there.
As would I.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up fight or flight because I saw a meme today. I don't know if this is you, but I had to send it to my wife because it's certainly her. The meme says, "How do I teach?" So it's just text. It says, "How do I teach my body that my fight or flight response is supposed to be for life and death situations, not for answering a phone call or email?"
Oh
And I
my
was like,
God.
yeah,
That's so relatable.
yeah,
And I will choose flight every time. Like I
oh
owe you
yeah,
money. I am out of there.
yeah. Like the phone ringing, or
Well, unless
yeah,
you have an appointment, I'm not answering.
yeah. And good luck getting an appointment because I am not answering or
Yeah,
checking my.
exactly.
I'm the same with emails. I dread opening them. I'll sometimes I see an email come and I'll read the first line. You know, it shows you the preview,
Yeah.
and I'll like be like, okay, so it's like, hey Jordan, just wondering about the. I'm like, oh shit, what could they be wondering about? I'll think about it for 2 hours, and I'll check that
Oh,
after a coffee. I'll check it when I sit down, and then finally,
yeah.
like, just like, here we go, boom. Um,
I put off phone calls for like days and weeks at a time, and then I finally take the plunge and make them. And I'm like, took me 63 seconds to do that thing I've been putting off for a week.
yeah.
Like,
Um, so Victoria takes off out of the alleyway, and as she's leaving, we again catch up with Miss Preacher. Miss Preacher approaches Victoria, Dex's mom, in the street, and simply says, "I need to talk to you." So we're finally now going to get Miss Preacher sitting down with someone. I wanted it to be Anna. It's not going to be Anna. It's going to be Dex's mom, Victoria. They end up heading over to a little restaurant, it looks like. An odd spot to have a quick chat. If someone approaches me in the street and they say, "I need to chat. I need to talk to you," I would say,
I'd
"About
be like,
what?"
go,
"Yeah, let's do it.
go ahead.
We're here." Instead, they go to a nice restaurant and they get wine and stuff.
Might
But
be a girl thing. I don't
could
know.
be. But it could also be what we learn about Miss Preacher during this scene in a restaurant, a nice restaurant over wine. It's a bit more appropriate because Miss Preacher, as soon as they're sitting down, Miss Preacher is recounting her life as a model. She was a
Fashion
model.
designer.
Design. I thought she was a model. She's a fashion designer.
I got fashion designer.
Okay.
Because she says some like pretty big names that she was a protege and she was picked up by Karl Lagerfeld or whoever.
That
I
makes more
recognize the
sense.
names, but I don't know who they are.
Okay, I knew it was like fashion. I don't know why I assumed model. But yeah, fashion designer makes more sense. Again, given her bag too.
Yeah.
So she talks about that. She also tells the story of having a one night stand. Yeah, because what she's recounting is like my career was on the up and up. I was hooking up. I was working with all these important people. It was all about to work out. But I had a one night stand with someone and became pregnant. And I think she's about to relay and tell like the story of sort of like her downfall, I guess, from her career. Maybe is what she's getting at. She describes this one getting pregnant from this one night stand. Maybe you can tell me this better because you may recall this better, but I believe she initially wanted to keep it, but then was approached about having an abortion. How did this go down?
She was on the way to the clinic, and then a woman approached her and said that she could help and that she wanted the baby.
Oh, she was on the way to get the abortion. Yes, the other way around. She was going to get an abortion, and someone talked her into like, no, have it, and I'll take the baby.
And then so Dex's mom is like, why would you agree to that? And it was because whoever this woman was told her that she would give her the world.
Yeah, that was her exact words. I'll offer you the world in exchange for your baby.
For this one thing.
Mm-hmm. Miss Preacher then goes on to explain, your son is in trouble. People are after your family because one of them fell in love with him.
That's right. Because she says, she's like, is this about my husband? And she's like, no, it's about your son.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she says, yeah, because what did she say? I have the direct quote here. Um, they've been coming for your family for a long time.
Yeah.
One of their most powerful players defected because she fell in love with him.
Okay. And when she's saying one of they, you're led to believe that it's the person in the group that confronted her about have the baby and give it to us. So someone associated with that, one of their most powerful people fell in love with Dex, and which leads me to think they're probably talking about Dex's ex.
Well, immediately I thought, like, are they talking about Anna? But then she said Adeline, which is his ex.
Okay.
And then, yeah, Preacher was like, keep your voice down. They are everywhere. So, yeah, something weird's happening. Something twisted
Yeah, well, I think our suspicions have, from very early on, has been that Dex is involved in this. This is making me think maybe Dex is involved, but not as a like a ringleader, but maybe he's involved as like the object of their attraction or something. Like they're coming for him, as Miss Preacher said.
Maybe he doesn't even know. Maybe he's just a pawn.
Yeah.
And maybe something with his ex-wife, because she didn't want to have kids or whatever, is the reason she died. Maybe she was murdered.
Or maybe she's still alive. I don't know.
Ooh, I've never thought of that.
Yeah. So here we go. Next scene, we have Anna at home with Dr. Hill in the house treating her. She's having some kind of pain in her stomach, and he diagnoses her with a rib flare, which is like the baby pushing on your ribs in such a way that it causes like kind of like chronic pain. And Dr. Hill suggests yoga, and that she sees a specific type of doctor. And I think he gets her in touch with the doctor. Like, I know one who can help you with this kind of pain. She's really good.
So it's coincidentally Cora from the clinic.
Oh,
and it's like his receptionist or whatever. And she is a pelvic floor, like, physiotherapist.
Okay.
Which is a thing.
Is it?
Yes, this is like a real thing.
Okay.
And yeah, it's supposed to help with like an array of problems, issues.
Okay.
I heard about this a couple years ago. I have a friend who went and saw a pelvic floor therapist. And when I tell you my jaw was on the floor when she was telling me about this, I was
my God.
There's no way.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was an actual job. I was picturing,
yes.
You'll see like some like overweight middle-aged guy with a shirt that says like certified breast inspector, something like that. If he had a bigger brain, it'd be like pelvic floor examiner. But he's like, no, I don't know what the hell that's all about.
Exactly.
That's where my mind goes. Anyways,
but yeah, definitely a real thing.
So that's what Dr. Hill suggests. He does give her some orders. Do not travel while this, like, because of this pain you're in, you can't risk it. Don't travel. He's a bit more, my notes say he's becoming a bit of a prick. He was a bit more forceful and like, that baby's in you, it's growing, the pregnancy's, working out. You can't screw this up. Don't travel.
And he's like, well, no one said it would be easy. And just kind of like brushes off all of her concerns.
Yeah. And Dex is being a bit more supportive than normal here. And I think Anna is trying to maybe fix some of the anxieties and problems they have at home. Anna suggests that he invites Sonia over. It's just because she was a little suspicious of that relationship. Just invite Sonia over. We'll all have supper. And I wonder if that's being done as a way of Anna just trying to clear the air.
I think she's got different intentions. She wants to get Sonia alone and get some information.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You may be right. My vibe was, or my thought was that it was just I just need everything cool here. Let's just figure this out. But you could be right. So this next scene picks up with Anna just finishing a yoga class, which is one of the things Dr. Hill suggested. She gets in the shower and we get one of these weird nightmarish scenes. She notices a bunch of her hair is falling out. Then all of a sudden, like a goat appears in the shower with her.
Lights go out.
The lights go. It's a nightmare. She jumps out of this. Her fight or flight instincts kick in. She again chooses to flight. She jumps out of the shower. She's all freaked out. And what does she find but another one of those freaky old dolls of her? And the doll is missing a bunch of hair.
And it's got like, it looks like a little gash on its head. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that. I wonder if that was from someone pulling its hair out, if that was what the director was trying to tell us.
Oh yeah. It's like you said it in previous episodes, but it's like a voodoo type thing, I think.
A voodoo doll type thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would make sense. But if so, who would have access to that? Dex would have access. He'd be in the house and he could grab the doll and do that. There's, of course, the house manager who's a little weird. But then again, she has these weird people who just sneak around and appear places. So who knows who's the puppet master of that voodoo doll. So we're now preparing for Sonya's arrival. Sonya arrives early for dinner, which it's kind of an unfortunate thing for a guest at a kind of an awkward event. But she arrives earlier than planned. And when the host manager, what's her name again?
Nicolette.
When Nicolette, you're so good with the names. When Nicolette sees Sonya, it's very obvious there's something there. Nicolette is just like shot, like just put off, like, whoa. Like, it's almost like they know each other or have some issue.
She definitely wears her heart on her sleeve. You can tell in her face like something's wrong. I don't know if wrong's the word, but yeah, you can tell she
just has a large reaction to seeing Sonya. Sonya and Anna go sit down and talk, and Anna is apologetic to their relationship between the two of them getting off to a bad start, and apologizes for being kind of cold and odd to Sonya. Sonya's very understanding. Like, you've got a lot going on. I've heard the story of the stalker, the awards, the pregnancy. I completely get it. Sonya comes across as the friend that Anna needs throughout this season so far.
Yeah, she's like, you're pregnant. You can act any way you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's refreshing.
Yeah. And Anna opens up to her, even admits that for a while I thought you were following me. Like, I've been going through a lot. I was suspicious of you. I thought you were following me. And when Sonya's like, why would you think that? She's like, I saw you with those green shoes outside that time with the green shoes. And Sonya's, no, that wasn't me. I never
wear green.
But we've seen green shoes. So who the hell was that?
Looking on like 3
Sonya.
Occasions.
Looking like Sonya with green shoes.
Yeah.
And then we remember last week, the photo in the knife drawer showed Dex's ex turn into Sonya and back. Madeleine, I think I know where this is going.
I hope we do.
Now we cut over to your favorite actress, Kim Kardashian, who's playing the character Siobhan. Siobhan is sitting down having dinner with actually, let's go slow through this scene because this may be the most important telling moment in this whole episode. Siobhan and Hamish, the director, we saw in the last episode, they were sleeping together in exchange for, in this transactional deal where they were both getting something out of it. I would assume that Hamish was getting to have sex with Kim Kardashian's character, Siobhan, and Siobhan was getting to influence film production and decisions. Yes.
Yeah.
So now we have them sitting down talking, and Hamish is kind of being like, who are you? What is with you? Like, this film, I read the script. I didn't even want to make it, but I did for you, is now nominated for all these awards. Although I didn't even think it was like good. The actress,
and no one else did either.
No one else did. The actress I didn't want to cast, I think, is like nominated for everything. It's like this incredibly successful thing that I didn't put much thought or care into that you made me do. How is this, why is this so successful? What's going on here?
what did he say? He says, "What the fuck is going on, Siobhan? And who the hell are you?"
Hmm. I
And we don't
think
get an answer.
no, we don't.
But she's
But
so awful to him. I feel so bad for him,
well,
honestly.
yeah.
He calls her darling, and she's like, "Don't call me
Don't say that.
that."
Yeah, she's a bit of a witch,
Yeah.
and I chose that word intentionally because I think that's probably what's happening. Um, we then leave that scene with Hamish, and we now have Anna having dinner. She's with Siobhan and Dex and Sonia, I believe.
No, no, just the three of them. It's just Dex, Sonia, and Anna.
Okay, and maybe they discuss Sonia, or is it Siobhan discuss being abused?
That was Sonia.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
mixing up this scene. Maybe you talk through this scene if you recall it.
She's just telling Anna and Dex about how her mother used to like beat her essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And what did she say? She says pain is the touchstone of growth.
Hmm.
And she explains how she left home at 17 to get away from her mother and yeah, went to Berlin to become this artist.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and she's talking about her weird art that's made with her menstrual blood and
Yeah, why not?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of, I guess, maybe, I don't know if there's anything important really in that scene, at least this discussion. Maybe it's just developing the character of Sonia. But as they start finishing up the meal, Anna offers to walk Sonia to the car. More than offers, like wants to be alone with Sonia walking to the car. And when they're walking to the car, Anna pulls out the photo that earlier from the fork and knife drawer, the cutlery drawer, from the kitchen of Talia's place, and shows it to Sonia and says, like, do you know Dex's ex? Like, do you know
Have
these
you
people?
seen this photo before?
Yes.
Is what she asks.
And you've said, it was you who told me that Sonia, the actress who plays Sonia, also plays Dex's ex. So
Yeah.
they look similar. Sonia's character, or Sonia, is even surprised at the similarities. Like, whoa, she actually really looks like me.
Just with blonde and with eyebrows. I cannot get over how much I don't like the way Sonia's character looks.
Yeah,
Like the no eyebrows and the weird haircut.
yeah.
I just
I keep
I
thinking
do
of
not
the
find her attractive at all.
I keep thinking of the singer Sia, like kind of like
Oh
light
yeah.
blonde, kind of a straight kind of cut, and the no eyebrows is weird, and her skin isn't perfect either. So the way her hair and the lack of eyebrows really accentuates her skin, which is, I don't know, she just comes across, it's a weird look.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you.
Mhm.
But she's looking at this photo
Mhm.
and she's like, are you sure like you don't know this person or you've like never seen this? And she refers to Adeline, who's Dexter's ex, as being the less evil twin.
Hmm.
She goes, I think I would know if I had ever seen like a less evil twin of myself.
Hmm.
So I thought that was kind of weird.
Okay. So anyway, this scene ends. We get Anna back at Talia's place now, and we have a chance for Anna to confront Nicolette about the weird reaction she had to Sonia arriving. Like, how do you know Sonia? What's the story there? But Nicolette denies knowing her, but does seem weird about it.
Yeah. She says, like, I don't know her. And then I said, well, you knew her name. And she said, well, Mr. Harding told me her name.
Which is Dex, right?
Dexter, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anna's not dumb. You can't trick her. These people need to realize at this point.
She's on to you.
Yeah. Then the next odd thing that occurs here is Nicolette had opened the gift that Sonia had brought. Sonia brought a sort of gift, but Nicolette took it upon herself to open it. And much like what I'm holding in my hand right now, the gift was a little white owl. Was it like a stuffy?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I never really made that connection because when Anna like ventures off into the woods and sees Preacher up in the tree, when they go back, there's an owl where Preacher was. I'm just making this connection now.
Yeah.
But Nicolette's super weird. Going back to this, just the scene,
Yeah.
she's very odd.
She's very odd. Why would you open a gift for someone else when, again, her relationship, she's like the manager of the house sort of thing. To open a
Yeah.
gift for, yeah, that's bizarre.
And before that, she says that Sonia had looks just like an old friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then Anna says Adeline, and she's like, I don't know who that is. So, and then and then like opens this gift that's not for her.
Yeah. Well, Nicolette is clearly there watching and is involved in whatever's happening, which then makes me question Talia. Yeah. Because Nicolette and the security guy too, because they work for Talia. Why would the host manager be involved in this craziness if the others weren't? And of course,
I wonder if Kamal will end up being more involved.
Must. Think of what goes on in the basement of this house. Like, this is like ground zero for like the satanic cult that is taking babies. He's in on it.
Maybe he sleeps like Dex, though.
That's a good point. He's like, what? That was all going on here?
Yeah, right? It's all going on here?
Now, the next scene is... I don't even want to talk about it. It's the pelvic floor examination.
Cringe. Yeah. Well, and coincidentally, Cora lives in the same building as them in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And they kind of discuss like, oh, how long have you lived here? I can't believe like we didn't know. Such a coincidence.
Because and I guess like Anna was surprised that this examination or therapy or whatever it is wasn't happening in like a hospital setting. She was just going to her apartment for a pelvic floor examination. It's odd, but you talk us through what happens, because I'm not mature enough to do it.
So she goes into Cora's apartment. She has to sign like a waiver, which I guess is protocol for any sort of medical, like even just for a normal massage or chiro, you have to sign a waiver saying like, if I paralyze you, it's not my fault. So yeah, and then she's told like take everything from the waist down off, and then that's when Anna realizes like, oh, like you're like actually going to touch my pelvic floor. And Cora says like, oh, we can do like an external thing, but it's just, it's much better for you and we'll have better results if we go the internal route.
And it's at this point that I realize what's about to happen in this scene.
Oh yeah.
I was assuming I didn't know. I don't know what a pelvic. I still don't know what a pelvic floor is. I was assuming this is going to be like some kind of massage thing or something.
Well, it kind of is.
But when I heard the word internal, I was like, oh my God.
You were like, oh dear God, no. But like I said before, this is like a real practice, and it's meant to help if like sex is painful or if you have like bladder issues, which I find just bizarre, but I'm not a medical professional.
No.
And yeah, so, and it's the most important thing that I learned in my research about pelvic floor therapy is it's you're supposed to feel pressure but never pain. It's never supposed to be painful. Okay. So yeah, they start the therapy session, and right away Anna's like, oh my God, like why am I doing this? And as soon as Cora starts, you can tell Anna's not only just very uncomfortable, but it's painful. And she asks Cora to stop, and she doesn't, which is like a huge red flag for any medical professional. She's like, yeah, just like one second. And then after a few more times of Anna asking her to stop, she finally like kind of loses it and is like this needs to no. Well,
her exact
I do not consent.
Her exact words were, "Get your fingers out of me."
Yeah. And that's just like so. Well, and when you're dealing with such a profession, like it's, and we'll get to this later, but there's like that's once you say no and you don't stop, that's like molestation.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
What do
Absolutely. You
you,
would think
yeah.
like if you go through training for that job, half of the training would be like what you're actually doing, and the other half would be like consent and the bedside
Yes,
manner side
you
of
would
it.
think that's one like 101.
Yeah. Like if
If
you're
they say stop, stop
immediately stop.
production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um a lot of people like throughout this show so far, not this episode but this series, a lot of people are like grabbing at and touching Anna's belly, and
She's violated
yeah,
quite
she
a
is
few
violated.
times. Yes.
Uh, Anna leaves this meeting or appointment or whatever we want to call it, and she goes home and tells Dex what happened. All but not all but says she does say Cora molested me, which is
And he laughs at her.
yeah. He thinks she's nuts. What
Ugh.
molested you? Mm.
Yeah, exactly.
And she does, I think, what any reasonable person would do. She's pissed at him. And then Dex gets mad at her. So, yeah, are you out of your mind? Like that, just it all falls apart immediately between these two.
He continues to gaslight her.
Mm-hmm. Um, they get into an argument, and Dex um suggests that she's mad about not being the reason she's saying this and getting mad at him is because she's mad that she's going to miss out on the Golden Globes because she can't travel.
And then she loses it in a way like she starts laughing.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "You fool. Like this has nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that you don't believe a word that comes out of my mouth
Yeah.
ever."
And she challenges him. She's like, just admit it, Dex. You think I made everything up. Admit it, right?
And he
And
does.
and he says, none of this makes any sense, Anna. So
She's like, "This we can agree on."
Dex sucks at being a supportive boyfriend, husband.
Yes, he does. He just kind of sucks. You can stop there.
Yeah. That's the end of this little moment between them two. Next scene is we're still in the house, and the Golden Globes ceremony that Anna wasn't able to attend because of Dr. Hill's orders is about to happen. Dex,
And
I think,
Dex is like, "I'm gonna go watch the Golden Globes. Do you want to come?"
yeah, she's not
And like,
into
I
it.
would rather eat glass,
Yeah.
but no.
I would rather go in the basement and hold my dolls, is what
Yeah.
happens. So he
She
goes
like
in,
holds her dolls as an audience.
yeah, so he goes in one room to watch the Globes. She goes downstairs where she has a couple dolls, and she holds the dolls, and she put it on her phone, maybe, is it?
Yeah, she put on like a live stream on her phone.
And as she puts on the live stream, she's only watching it for a second before they announce her category. And of course, she doesn't win. Babette wins.
The young, fruitful actress.
Yeah. So Babette takes the award. One sec. So Babette wins the award that Anna was nominated for. And as soon as the award announcement is made, Anna begins to puke. I'm reminding you again that earlier in this episode, she was given the vitamin B12 blood stuff from Siobhan, just like she was during the
Right.
last award ceremony. Why is it puking? If she had have won the award, she would have been on stage right now puking.
Oh, I guess, hey. Yeah, I thought she like started coughing and then which turned into vomiting.
Mm-hmm. But either way,
But
the
oh,
timing
I
and the
never
same.
made that connection.
Mm-hmm. This time, what she pukes up is a little different, though. It's not just like blood spewing out of her. There's all these little like kind of like bloody chunks in it, and I don't know
I
what they're
Were
supposed to
they
be.
claws?
It to me, it looked
I
like
thought
little
at first I
pieces
was
of.
like, is that a fingernail? And then
It
I was
looked
like,
kind of
but
just
that's a
like,
little claw.
yeah, it could be
It looked
little
like the baby
claws.
claws.
Yeah, or it could be, oh yeah, it could be little claws. It could be, it kind of looked like thorns or kind of sharp rocks. But whatever it was, there were little bloody sharp chunks in the puke. She falls and kind of like passes out, which very like it was basically a very similar thing to during the Gotham Awards, what happened on stage. Except in this
Does she
case,
pass out? I know she does she pass out?
I think so. She just falls down on it. I don't know.
Oh.
I think maybe it was the way it was cut. You don't really. I think she pukes and she's reacting to that, and then there's she hears the sound of the like scratching and chanting from behind that door. I thought she woke up to it, but maybe she didn't. Maybe she was just
Oh.
in the middle of
Yeah,
puking.
I thought that yeah, the laughter from the tiny door starts and then Siobhan calls.
Yeah, I think you're. Maybe she doesn't pass out. Yeah, I think you're
I
right.
didn't think she did.
hmm yeah, so she hears the laughter and the weird noises from the little door. Uh, Siobhan calls, and I think she's about to get a pretty. I think she's about to be offered the world
Oh, I think so. Yeah, she is.
because that's what's happened to other people. They're offered the world in exchange for the babies. We don't really get a lot of it. We just get, or we don't get a lot of that offer. What we get is Siobhan saying, "Do you want an Oscar as much as that baby? Are you willing to do anything for it?" Actually,
Whatever I say.
I'll play Siobhan. You play Anna. Do you want an Oscar as much as a baby? Are you willing to do anything for it?
Of course.
I think she just said yes.
Yes.
Then a hand from God knows where grabs Anna and she yells.
Yep. And then that's well, and then Siobhan says, "Good, I'll call you in the morning," and hangs up.
And yeah, and then the hand grabs her.
And yeah, and then this like bloody hand just comes in from off scene and grabs her.
Mm-hmm. So I don't
It's
know
very
what
quick.
I don't know what this deal is that she just made with Siobhan, but the very next scene maybe suggests what this maybe is a symptom of this deal. Anna wakes up in bed. Dex is standing over the bed, holding his phone, showing her an article on his phone, and freaking out. What is the article he's showing her?
The article says that 21-year-old starlet Babette Eno was decapitated in a car accident.
Yeah, not killed, decapitated.
Decapitated, like minutes after she left the Golden Globes.
And they kind of as the viewer of the television show, we kind of like he points at the article so you can read a couple paragraphs of it, and it describes her driving home alone shortly after winning, like an hour later or whatever, had a car accident. When they responded, she was decapitated and was not able to be saved.
I also paused and read it.
Yeah, and the episode ends with that news is given, and then the phone rings and it's Siobhan.
Yeah. And her ringtone is still that creepy lullaby.
And
then credits roll.
Yeah. Oh, we're cooking now.
I can't wait months for this. I can't wait months.
Yeah.
I need to write a letter.
To what? To offer to mediate the strike?
To my bestie, Kim. You guys need to film.
She's like, well, it's not. I don't think she can decide. I think it's the...
Oh, no. It has nothing to do with her.
But you could try. Write the letter to her and see.
But the strike is over. Is it not?
Yeah, but I don't know if TV shows aren't like podcasts. I don't think you can just pump them out a couple of weeks. I think it's going to take some time.
No. Yeah, definitely. But still, like, chop, get on it. We can start filming now.
Well, I wonder how many people are going to use this break as an opportunity to get the book that this is based on.
Oh, I wonder, hey. I'll bet you're right.
I'm so curious to see how closely they match, but now's not the time to do it.
No. We have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
But I just realized it wasn't a film strike. It was a writing strike. So they have to write the second part.
Yeah, and separately, though, was an actor strike at the same time.
Oh, okay. Oh, there was.
So not only could they not write it, but they couldn't film it either. So they need to do all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, that sounds like a headache.
I can assume most of it was probably written before, but it's going to be a while. But let's talk about this episode. What did we learn? What do we know now that we didn't before? I
want to know why they killed Babette off. It's kind of eerily similar to Dex's ex-wife. She just kind of like dies suddenly. There has to be a reason why. Mm-hmm. I wonder if she if she was pregnant and didn't want to give up the baby, or
Yeah, it
yeah, I
could
don't
be.
know.
Or it
Didn't
could
want to make
be
a deal with the devil.
yeah, or it could be a part of this deal with Siobhan, like getting Babette out of the way so Anna's career could continue the upward motion that it's had, because Babette was kind of the new up and coming starlet, winning the awards and whatnot. Having her out of the way may give Anna more opportunity. It's kind of
That's
one
yeah,
thought.
that's true. Siobhan is for sure behind all this, though.
Oh, she's right in it because she's
Yeah,
connected to so many of the, like, what's going on with her and Hamish. I think is obvious that Hamish, he understands and he realizes that this kind of success isn't normal. Something is going on with her.
yeah,
Um, the doll that the voodoo doll was first introduced in Siobhan's office. Siobhan had
yeah.
Anna sign its belly, which is maybe some kind of like agreement with the
There's a lot of
devil.
signing going on. She autographs the belly. She autographs the Vogue magazine. She has to sign at the pelvic floor uh therapy session.
Mhm.
There's a lot of yeah, there's a lot of signatures going on.
Yeah. And I'm more open to Dex being a good guy after this episode.
Me too. I'm more open to him being just like blissfully ignorant. Like he may have no idea what's going on around him,
Mm.
but like be an important person in the game. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And Miss Preacher is a regular person, it seems.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure they said her name at the beginning because the young woman at the beginning is Miss Preacher.
The young, oh, like giving birth, right?
Yes. Yeah. I wonder if they
Did they
I'm
say it
sure they
during that
said
scene?
yeah. I'm sure he said like Miss Preacher.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna learn more about her, I'm sure, but she is. It seems like she is going to be the one who tells Anna what's going on. I think because she's been through it and she's like a warrior fighting against it online now.
Yeah. And she's I think she'll end up being like a good person
Mm-hmm.
or a good character
Yeah.
trying to help and
Uh,
yeah, I don't oh,
do,
I don't know.
do you think Preach as a brand name would work?
Well, I was wondering because she said that she mentioned she sold the patent to her handbag to Marc Jacobs before Marc Jacobs was anyone.
And that's a real
And
person?
now, yeah, that's a real designer, very, very successful designer. And she said now though, like those royalties, she lives off of them, but it's never enough.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering like so clearly the deals that these women are making sound really good at the beginning, but then something goes on that like the deal's not actually that sweet for them.
Yeah. Well, that's always how it works with like a deal with the devil. Like
Yeah,
you sell your soul to the devil for like a hit song, but then the music industry crushes you when you become a
exactly.
star. Like that sort of thing. But what they're doing with the babies is what's gonna, I think, is I'm interested to hear.
Yeah. I think we're gonna something big is revolving around Dex's dad and the satanic sex abuse that went on.
Hmm.
Something's gonna come of that too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all.
I don't know if Dex has like a repressed memory of walking in on something
Hmm.
or what.
The way, like, when you write a story in a show and you have all these different threads going in different directions, and then you are able to take them and tie them up into something that makes sense, is such a cool skill. I'm excited to see how it works in this show. It doesn't always work out. I think of Lost as an example. I don't know if you've seen that. It had all these threads that never really got connected. But I think
I've
doing this in
I've
one
heard that
season,
it was like a huge blunder, the ending of Lost.
but I think having one season of American Horror Story, I think it's going to work.
Oh yeah. Well, an American Horror Story, that's usually how it works with previous seasons is yeah, there's so many threads and then they somehow come together at the end and I'm just like, they have to write this backwards. Like
Yeah, but how do you?
how are their brains working like this?
Yeah. Well, it's a great show, and I'm glad you talked me into watching it with you.
I am glad too. I hope you watch more seasons
I think I
because they
will. I'm
are
going to use
super
this. I'm going to
entertaining.
use this break as a way. I'm just going to read the summary of each one and figure out. I may go to that '80s one. I love '80s stuff.
I think you'll like that one.
Maybe that's what I'll do during this mid-season extended break.
Yeah, watch that one. There's a couple that are like based around witches, and those are my favorite.
Coven is one of them,
Um,
right?
Coven's one of them. Apocalypse has the witches in it.
But I feel like that'll be too
Um,
close to this one. I want one way different.
no, it's different because
Is it?
like witches aren't necessarily satanic.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All
And
right.
then while you're on that train, watch Ratchet too.
Okay.
That's Ryan Murphy, and it's
My homework.
unbelievable. Yeah,
All right. Well, let's
you'll
wrap this
power
up.
through those.
Good. Well, I got a lot of work to do over the next 3 or 4 months, but I'm excited to get back for episode 6, whenever that is.
Me too. I wish we knew when it was, but as soon as we do, this is where we'll be.
This is where we'll be announced that we'll break the news here.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. And thanks for talking with me again, Madeline.
Oh, anytime. I can't shut up about this show, so I appreciate you listening.